Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining our webinar on the 3 biggest technology threats to C-store growth. I'm your host, Sarah Spaventa. I'm the Digital Marketing Manager at Thanx, and I have with me our presenter and Head of C-store Solutions, Billy Draper. Today's webinar will be around 25 minutes long with 5 minutes for Q&A. Please send me your questions in the chat box, and we will leave time at the end to go through all of them. And with that, I will kick this over to Billy. Please let me know if you have any trouble hearing us, and I will make sure that everything runs smoothly. And with that, Billy, it's all you.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for the introduction. And thank you, attendees, for your time today. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, depending on where you may be. As Sarah mentioned, we're going to walk through the 3 biggest technology threats to C-store growth today. This is part 2 in the Convenience 2020 web series. Part 1, we covered the revenue strategies of revenue growth for C-store. Today, what we'll cover in just 3 sections are the 3 tech threats, kind of an overview of those threats. The next thing is the big brands investing in tech. This will be a bit of a breakout of those technology threats. And then third, how to mitigate tech threats and disruption, kind of a strategy around how to prepare yourself now. That said, let's jump right to it. So the first threat that's being invested in is this idea around click and connect. It's simply put, it's online order, pick up in store, and it's adding convenience to the e-commerce experience many brands have built for their consumers. The second piece is this frictionless no checkout C-store. This is definitely making headlines as we speak. Amazon Go is really the key driver in this idea. It's a surveillance-powered, cashier-less C-store developed by Amazon. Once again, we're going to break these out and look at these in more detail. And then the third piece is delivery and mobile ordering. Taking the convenience experience from the store to home and providing order ahead options for added convenience. All 3 of these concepts, all 3 of these ideas and threats are all kind of wrapped around the idea of the changing face of convenience. What's convenient yesterday is no longer convenient today. It has to align with the consumer's expectations. So let's break these out in a little bit more detail. The first is the click and collect threat. And Walmart will kind of focus in on what they're doing today, driving kind of the shift, this technology growth. What is the click and collect threat? What does that kind of entail? Well, it's a hybrid approach to retail and e-commerce, where customers can pick up online grocery orders, as an example. They can fuel vehicles. They can grab coffee, soft drinks, hot, healthy snacks, or even other convenience items, and offer basics such as milk, eggs, and bread, those kind of standards, those household standards that are very important, fresh ingredients, if you will. Open from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. with no subscription required. Walmart just opened their second location, this click and collect C-store, here in our backyard in Denver, Colorado, and it's being received very well. What does the future of this look like specifically as it relates to Walmart? Well, we know they have a massive footprint in the United States. Over 4,000 stores today, Walmart stores. That excludes the Sam's Club brand, which already has fuel at many locations. Part of the reason why they're investing in this heavily is it really is an upsell mechanism where the cart experience will only take consumers so far, but if you can get them in a store and make it convenient, 34% of these customers are actually purchasing an additional item during pickup. So they're actually growing the revenue by this concept and investing in this concept. Now the threat exists here because there are plans to be 700 of these pickup towers by January 2019. That's a 7x growth over the year. So they are heavily investing in this concept because it's proving to be wildly popular. It's creating a connected customer, it's creating a loyal customer. That's tech threat number 1. The second is around this no checkout convenience idea, greatly powered by Amazon Go. They are the front runners of this technology. What does this look like? Well, there's no waiting in line, no checkout required. It leverages technology used in self-driving cars, also kind of a threat to the convenience store business here. And they use that to track a virtual shopping cart. Purchases are automatically charged to an Amazon account, so once again, cashierless, very frictionless. Consumers are wanting this. This is what they're requiring. Seattle, Chicago, San Francisco, this is going to grow pretty rapidly in the next few years. They're also investing in this idea around local, ready-to-eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks made on-site by chefs using local and favorites. So a brand as big as Amazon has figured out how to localize and create the trend and follow the trend of local fresh ingredients. A lot of what's happening in the C-store space today is we need more hot, fresh items. Amazon's definitely going this direction. Stuff they can't do through the e-commerce platform, stuff they can't do through Amazon.com and then through Prime memberships, they're delivering on a local level. And then they're getting into the meal kit business, your HelloFreshes of the world, your purple carrots, blue carrots. They are starting to expand their offering, and this brick and mortar solution is really bringing that to fruition. Another thing that they're doing that's not included on the slide, they now have a Amazon 4-star rated item store. So if you think about where this concept can go, this could be a bit more exclusive as far as it relates to the way the consumers shop. There's some buzz around 4-star rated items, so they can deliver traffic through other means outside of just the hot, fresh ingredients. What does this look like in the future? Well, they plan on, there's talks, now Visa is very tight-lipped about this, but there's around 3,000 stores slated to open by the end of 2021. And if you think about the recent acquisition of Whole Foods, that could definitely create an easy way to scale this because they have the footprint, the brick and mortar footprint to do this today. One of the other things we're seeing is that customers really like this. Amazon Go locations are averaging a 4.5-star rating on Yelp. So the consumer experience is definitely making the consumers happy. So there's no doubt about that. And then if we look at just the potential threat here, there's 100 million Amazon Prime subscribers worldwide, and Amazon has a one-to-one connection with these people. They know their shopping habits. They can reach out to them through email, through text, through the app. They can ping them, let them know that these stores are opening up in their backyard. They have a way to drive traffic. They already have a pretty good foundation on this. So as they expand, that market share that they could potentially grab is a real issue for a lot of the C-stores around these prospective locations. The next threat is around delivery and mobile ordering. We're going to look at two case studies here. Wawa and Dunkin'. Why we're looking at this, Dunkin' Donuts, as we traditionally know it, they are making a shift to Dunkin'. They want to get out of the donut space. They're getting into the beverage space. They're getting in the convenience space. They have a pretty hefty footprint. We'll look at those numbers here in a second. But let's look at Wawa. Wawa now has 17 select locations where they're delivering their hot, fresh items through partnerships with Grubhub and Uber Eats. Once again, hot bowls, sandwiches, soups, snacks, coffee, and other beverages, all being delivered through that partnership with Grubhub and Uber Eats. They are very much acting like a hospitality group, acting like a restaurant these days, and following suit with that, expanding convenience from brick and mortar to home and office is really where they're taking this. Looking at Dunkin', they've heavily invested in this mobile ordering idea where you can order and pay from app. A lot of brands are doing this, but Dunkin's pretty interesting because of their footprint here. You can save favorite orders, you can skip the line, receive offers, and they are also partnering with Amazon through Amazon Alexa. A lot of different partnerships. You see these two brands here are leveraging existing technologies to deliver these experiences to customers because that's what customers are asking for in the market. Now, if we go to this by the numbers, just the online food delivery segment in 2018 is almost a $100 million business. It's growing. It's growing by 11.1% annually. So there's more and more consumers, more and more businesses that will be following this trend because it's part of the ecosystem. It's part of what customers expect these days, that I should be able to go to any business, look at their offerings, and have it delivered to me. That is convenience, 2.0, 3.0, convenience 2020, if we will. And if we look at the Dunkin' restaurant footprint, there's nearly 13,000 stores across the U.S. So they have a pretty big footprint. Once again, if we look at Amazon Go, we look at that partnership with Whole Foods, we look at Walmart, we look at Dunkin'. The idea that a switch can be flipped and this threat start to really take over is real, and really start to eat into market share of the C-store space. So the idea is, how do I keep up, right? How do I deliver on these expectations? Well, the idea is these brands are doing this. They're investing in this digital customer experience, creating convenience aligned with customer expectations. They're doing this because this is what the consumer expects. They want people to make it easy. They want brands to make it easy. Make it easy. Do you have an app? Can I call? Can I order? Can I pick up? Will you engage me? Will you let me know when the order's ready? Will you let me know when there's a new item that's aligned with my interests? Will you empower me? Let me leave some feedback. Let me tell you about my experience. Do you know me? Can you target me? Can you talk to me in a way that's meaningful? Delight me. Surprise and delight me. Extend offers to me based on what you know about me. Hear me. If I'm going to leave feedback, tell me that you've heard that feedback and that you can take that and then make my experience better because you value me. And so, short of changing your business model, the idea is, how can you mitigate these threats and create a more favorable digital customer experience? The idea is you have to invest, right? Short of changing it and saying, hey, now we're going to have a frictionless cashier experience, which is a huge operational change. Or investing in a mobile ordering and online delivery, or forming a partnership with any third-party delivery service. What can you do that's easy to scale today, not a huge operational disruption, that allow you to go from a brand-centric strategy where you're kind of functional, right? You know your customers through some channels. You have maybe potentially some email, you do some social, you have your web that's pulling analytics, when people are visiting. So you are functional and you do have a strategy. But what can you do to become more customer centric, to become more integrated and optimized? So you have a connected customer that will help you, help you protect your market share, your share of wallet. You have to have a strategy in place. And so what this currently looks like for most people here that are joining us today, and outside of this industry, this is what it looks like for most brands today. There are a number of channels out there that basically fragment the customer experience. There's no single view of the customer, so you don't know who they are. You can't engage with them when you need to. You can't model behavior if you don't have a single view of the customer. This creates departmental and technology silos, operations, marketing, all those divisions. It's really hard for one set of data to inform the other to say, how can we optimize and really make sure that we're protecting ourselves against risk? There's a lot of heavy tech costs associated with this as well. And then ultimately, there's no unified data or insights and no true performance measurement. So in order to kind of pull this together, once again, keeping focus here, we got to mitigate the risk with these technological threats. Short of changing the business, we need a connected customer strategy. Short of doing that, what can you do? Well, you have to have a solution in place that unifies some key areas of focus for you. You need to get actionable insights on your guest. You need to gather in-moment feedback. Understand how they feel about you so you can optimize experience, so you can make build better relationships with the customer. You need relationship management tools. You need marketing automation. Once again, a lot of folks on this phone, a lot of people in this space, they don't have big sophisticated teams that can push buttons and sift through data. You need tools that are intuitive, that can deploy some automated campaigns to drive customers in more often, especially as threats start to impede and approach you in your backyard. How can you keep customers connected? Thinking you as the local favorite, not Amazon Go as the local favorite. And then ultimately, all the stuff that we do, you need to measure that in revenue. Measure the impact, not just take guesses at this. Simplify the complexity, understand what you're doing. Is it moving the needle? And ultimately, is it really aligned with the customer expectation? Once again, the customer sits at the center of this idea that you can now engage them in meaningful ways. You can hear them, you can reward them, surprise them, value them. You can make it easy, and you can know them. So a unified customer experience should look something like this. And when you do this, the idea is now you can deliver experiences driven by first-party data. That's different than what that ecosystem slide looks like, a couple slides ago, where you're relying on third parties. You're not getting the data from them. You don't understand your customer. This gives you first-party data if you have a platform in place that helps you know your customers, send some automated engagement to them, deliver, relationship management tools, and ultimately measure the revenue impact. So as an example here, this is the kind of information you need on customers. What's their status? Are they loyal? Are they big spenders? How long have they been a customer? What's their average check size? How many visits a month do they make? Lifetime value, favorite location, popular item, visit preference. How do they respond? What makes them change their behavior and come and visit me? I need to understand this because at any point in time, I may need to engage them in order to model a behavior or shift perception or protect ourselves against, an Amazon Go opening down the street. So going back to that central point of command idea that we need a tool that does all this, when we have a tool that does this, there's a couple of different things that kind of are enabled here. One, with customer insight, we can develop products and services aligned with customer wants and needs. Once again, rather than guess at this, we can understand how our customers behave. We can understand how they behave in our markets, on our locations, based on what we do and what they need. We can now develop and invest in products, services, aligned with the insights that we gather from our customers through this first-party data. You also have a relationship management tool. You have a one-to-one dialogue with your customers, and you can connect with them in a meaningful way. Traditionally, if we go back to that slide once again with all the channel proliferation, sending messages, and we think that social might be one-to-one, it's not, it's one-to-many. That doesn't really resonate with customers. But if going back to this previous slide, if I can talk to Sarah and I can tell her, hey, Sarah, you know what, we haven't seen you in a couple weeks. Come in today for, morning happy hour, get 2-for-1 coffee, whatever it may be. I now have a mechanism in place to have a relationship with Sarah one-to-one, something she will respond to. I become more favorable. I become top of mind. I can retain this customer, right? That's the idea there. Targeted engagement. Having that data, having marketing automation tools in place that allows me to model and influence customer behavior when it matters most to the business. Once again, when does it matter most to the business? It's variable. Weather can be, we could have bad weather. We could have, once again, Walmart might bring a click and collect concept in my backyard. That could be very detrimental to business and traffic. So that's when it matters most. You have to have a bridge that you can speak with these customers, and you have to have a strategy. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, you want to protect your investments in the product, services, and marketing, operations, all the things that you do to make a better brand. You want to protect those investments and drive revenue with insights and automation. Because the idea is, at the end of the day, when customers are going through their consideration process, when they have a need, hey, I need hot breakfast, I need eggs, I need milk, I need fuel, some of the basics here. Who do I consider and why? Because if they're not thinking of you, as we see these brands and the technology threats expand across other brands and other markets, it just becomes a bigger problem. So in order to do this, in order to make you top of mind, you have to have a connected customer strategy, a platform in place that gets you first-party data based on transactions, based on customer feedback, where you can message to all your guests through email, or you can get very specific and you can one-to-one message people through text message and remind them that you care, that you are there, and should be the go-to person. So this really kind of summarizes and concludes today's webinar, Webinar 2, the 3 biggest technology threats to C-store growth. I believe I can start answering some questions if we have any. Sarah?
Yes. Does anybody have any questions? I'm not seeing any come through so far. Once again, feel free to leave them in the chat box below. Should be on your right-hand side. We'll wait a minute or so to see if anyone has any questions. If not, we'll end the webinar.
And while we wait for that, I'll just introduce this idea here. If you'd like to understand how we can help you get at those threats and learn more about what we do specifically in this industry, some of you have reached out because of prior webinars. But for those of you who haven't, just please email Sarah and we'll follow up with you and kind of give you an introduction to how we believe we can help you in this space.
Definitely. And I do have a question that came in, Billy. In Sarah's profile, what is NPS?
Oh, great. Let's go back to Sarah's profile here. So NPS, which is an acronym for Net Promoter Score, is essentially a score associated with how a customer feels about you. You can see in this profile, this is actually kind of a profile that you would see in the Thanx platform that gives you this information, and this happy face essentially says, on a scale of 1 to 10, last time we asked Sarah how she felt about our products or services, how likely she was to recommend those to somebody, she left us a 9. So she feels really good about what we do. So NPS is essentially just a sentiment score, 9 and 10 being associated with advocates of your business, promoters, if you will, 8 to 5 being passives, or 8 to 6 being passives, and 5 and below being detractors, people who are not happy with your products and services.
Great. The next question is, how does the software actually work? Does the consumer download an app?
Great question. So there's a number of ways that our product works. It all starts with a customer registering for a program, and it's usually in the guise of rewards, a loyalty program. Our platform scales beyond loyalty because we can engage guests outside of loyalty guests. We can kind of message to all on multiple channels, whether it's social, Facebook app, or email. But the idea is someone registers they can do that through text message. An example would be text GO to 43568. That would give them a prompt in order to register. They could download an application, a branded application associated with your business, or through a number of external links, whether it's on your web page or on your social channels or through email. Those customers would then click and go through a registration process. Once they register, then what happens is they're offered an introductory reward as a thank you. They then are given some understanding of what they're actually working towards, whether it's status or whether it's an ongoing reward. As an example, spend $100, get 10 back. There's a number of ways that program can be designed. And then from there, they can engage through the application, SMS, etc. And every time they transact, they accrue progress. You get data on that customer. That starts to shape. That goes into that data starts to take shape, and you can get segmentation. You understand who your VIP customers are, your advocates, your big spenders, your long timers, etc. And that's where the engagement mechanism comes into play to keep them connected with you.
Great. And we have another really great question. How do you view new payment technologies as a threat and possibly an element of the 3 techs you covered?
Yeah, so new payment is, you've got Apple Pay, you have a number of programs that are just swipe and go. It's part of what customers want. So as you think about that, it's more of a service and less of a strategy, if you will. So an investment in that, one, it creates a frictionless experience. Customers more and more days are looking for a frictionless experience. They don't want to take a lot of extra steps, and brands like Amazon and Walmart and Dunkin' and the brands that are really investing in that are delivering that to that expectation. So the thought is, as a service, I think it's crucial, but it's not a strategy. The idea is have that as part of your service offering, have a strategy on the back end that connects you to your customers, gives you the insight, so then you can model and influence behavior. That's how I would see that playing into, the bigger picture.
Wonderful. And it looks like that is all the questions we have. This presentation was recorded, and we will be giving you guys an email with the recording to review if you want to watch it again. I want to thank Billy for presenting, and thank you all for attending our webinar today. As I said, we'll be following up with an email probably within 2 to 3 days. If you're interested in learning more about what Thanx can do for your convenience store, please feel free to email me. It's sarah.spaventa@Thanx.com, as you see on the screen. And I'll be happy to set you up with one of our convenience store product specialists. And with that, I hope everyone has a great day, and thank you guys so much for tuning in.